Hi, today I want to ask you, when you hear the phrase king of rock and roll, who do you think of? I'm hoping many of you instantly think of Elvis Presley. I chose Elvis Presley for my speech because I'm a huge fan. I have been a huge fan ever since I was a little girl. I'm not really sure what necessarily triggered that, but I just love Elvis. I listen to his music, I watch the movies, I collect all kinds of Elvis memorabilia. My goal is to go to Graceland, hopefully within the next few years, and go to all the just anywhere I can find that has Elvis stuff. Especially when I go to Vegas, that's a huge thing that I like to go do, is go to all these different places that has his suits or whatever the case may be, because they're always changing things up there, so that's always fun. I think it's important for everyone to learn more about Elvis, as he's a huge part of our music history and he's an icon. So today we're going to learn more about Elvis, his accomplishments in music, movies, and his military service. So getting started, Elvis made a huge contribution to music. His music career began in 1954. In 1955, Elvis signed with RCA Records, and he stayed with RCA until his death in 1977. That's a huge deal. Many times today, artists are often maybe dropped by the record label, or else stay with one for so many years and then go to another one, and it's just a constant back and forth. So that's pretty impressive for someone to be there their whole life, or their whole music life. Elvis's first big hit was Heartbreak Hotel, and that was in 1956, which it did become his first gold record. Elvis soon began appearing on television shows, which fans were able to see the whole thing, but when you're watching at home on TV, you could only see from the waist up. They don't want to show his hips because it was too sexual for TV, so they wouldn't allow it. So then once they did down the road, he just became an instant heartthrob, especially in his shows. A lot of times when you see impersonators, if they don't have those hips, they're not a good impersonator. So it's a key thing to know. Elvis continued to release many hits in the 1950s. He took a break from music in the 1960s to start his movie career. In 1968, Elvis decided to come back to music. He struck a deal with NBC and had a televised show called the '68 Comeback Special. That was a huge deal for Elvis. He had left music, did movies for a while, wasn't as successful as he might want it to be. So he's just getting back in the groove of things, and during the '68 Comeback Special, he performed his top hits, just really engaged with the audience, and it was a huge deal, and it's a really good show too, so I recommend you watch it if you haven't. And actually next week, they're doing a remake or an anniversary special, and today's top artists are going to be singing some of his songs, so if you want to tune in, that would be great. And you also learn more about Elvis that way too. So after this comeback special was televised, Elvis began seeing offers from around the world. He ultimately ended up in Las Vegas. In the early 1970s, he continued to keep busy, and he toured around, which also included the Aloha from Hawaii. Elvis passed away in 1977, and since his death, he's continued to grow a fan base. He's been inducted to the 5 different Hall of Fames, and still remains just very popular in music. Still selling lots of memorabilia. If one of his songs is reproduced, it's going to #1 on the charts. That's just how it goes. He's just huge still. Especially like when it comes around his birthday in January, fans still go to Graceland, and it's just record-breaking attendance. Just a crazy. It's amazing how many fans there still are, including myself. I mean, I can't wait. That's like I said, it's my goal to go to Graceland. So, in addition to his contribution in music, Elvis decided to make his way into movies in the 60s. His first movie debut was called Love Me Tender, and many of his movies were named after his songs. During his career, he made 31 movies, which is quite a bit for an actor, especially in that short amount of time. Elvis had great movies, but many of them were not very successful. He often noted he wanted to have more dramatic roles, and that never occurred for him. So that could have been maybe some of the issue. Of course, a lot of them he's singing in, and a lot of people said that they're too much alike. So that could have been the issue with it not having a dramatic role. And lastly, not only was Elvis an icon for his music and his movies, but he served in the U.S. Army. So he was drafted on March 24th, 1958. When he arrived, it was a huge media event. Elvis was very looking forward to serving in the Army. He had basic training in Texas, and then he also was granted his 2 weeks leave, and he was able to record 5 songs in Nashville. After training, Elvis joined the 3rd Armored Division in Germany, where he met his future wife, Priscilla Presley. Elvis wanted to be noted as an ordinary soldier. He is going there to do his work, and a lot of his fellow soldiers attested to that. They agreed they were expecting some person who just wasn't going to do the jobs, and just because he was rich and famous, but he did what he was supposed to, and that was just great for him and his soldier friends. So that was awesome that he was still doing what he was supposed to. Elvis donated his pay to charity. He bought TVs for the Army bases. When he returned back to the U.S. on March 2nd, 1960, he was honorably discharged 3 days later with the rank of a sergeant. On the train ride home, he was mobbed the whole way back to Tennessee. He appeared at several stops for his fans, and he also performed, I believe, as well. So that was really nice of him to do that. So today you learned 3 important things about Elvis Presley in regards to his music, movies, and his military status. I hope you enjoyed listening and understanding more of the importance of this icon known as the King of Rock and Roll. Thanks.